Hello, I'm attorney Lee Marvin here in Grand Rapids, Michigan. I'm an immigration law attorney. I have three main updates that I want to inform everyone about. One is related to injunctions against the Trump administration recent policy changes. Two is related to asylum, and three is related to health-related issues with immigration. First of all, last Friday, three different federal judges issued injunctions against the Trump administration for different changes that were being proposed. One relates to the nationwide expansion of expedited removal for deportations. If you recall, the Trump administration was trying to expand that to allow immigration to detain people and deport them without a hearing anywhere in the United States within the last 2 years if they entered without authorization. It now goes back to the old rule, which is within 100 miles of the border within the last 2 weeks. So that is a big win for advocates of immigrants coming to the United States. Next is relates to the Flores settlement that relates to families being detained with children. The Trump administration was trying to expand basically the time that children would be allowed to be detained with their families. So now that goes back to the existing rule, which is children only have a certain amount of time that they are allowed to be detained, and then they have to be removed from their family and taken into guardianship settings or other settings where the children are not detained in a detainment facility. Three relates to a class action suit brought against the administration for basically a database that was messed up, a database of immigrants that included U.S. citizens had gone through the process that were still included in the database that were receiving requests for detainment for deportation purposes. So the government can no longer use that database because it's bad. It's got bad information in it. Second is relating to asylum and El Salvador in particular. Last week, President Trump signed an agreement with the president of El Salvador to basically have El Salvador take in different types of refugees and asylum requesters before they come to the United States. So that would be asylees from El Salvador wouldn't apply to, but it would be Guatemala and be Honduras. Those individuals would be taken to El Salvador for asylum requests before they came to the United States. Also, coincidentally, last week, the State Department decreased the severity of the travel alert for El Salvador. So now they think it's safer and better to travel to El Salvador, which increases the ability for tourism in El Salvador, which is very important to the country for revenue purposes. Three, health-related policy changes. Basically, the government, there's two, one's good and one's bad. The government now is improving their screening procedures for people with health issues coming into the United States at the borders. So people seeking asylum, there's gonna be a more consistent way to evaluate their health conditions. The second is actually the government trying to expand the use of DNA testing and storage. So since 2005, immigration has always had the ability to get DNA samples from people, but usually it related to people who were involved in the deportation process. The new policy is going to try to obtain DNA evidence from everyone entering the country for use for what? We don't know. For whatever the government deems it needs the DNA testing for. This, like many things, is probably going to be blocked. It's going to be challenged, and there probably will be an injunction against the use in obtaining that kind of DNA evidence. We want to limit the DNA evidence for people that have actually been detained for violent crimes, not for everyone who just enters, women and children included, into the country. These are big updates. There's more coming. There was a very slow period of time through all these court processes, but things are starting to move forward a lot quicker now. So please stand by for updates and notices from Marvin Law Office. Thank you. Have a very nice day.